and those tunnel has been built. So after that, we found the flood management governance structure with some scholars from Singapore and Europe. So we found in the flood management in Hong Kong actually is not just managed by Drainage Service Department. It has other departments to be involved. For example, coastal flood defense is managed by Civil Engineering and Development Department, and also the Security Bureau also responsible for the emergency service, and also monitoring awareness preparedness is done by Hong Kong Observatory. And so actually they somehow work together individually, but as a public we are very hard to identify. Oh, if flood comes, just go to that institute or that organization. Normally you will blame Drainage Service Department, but actually Drainage Service Department just responsible for the flood that relate to inland flood. So that means what is inland flood is the flood happen on the land. Okay. If the flood happen by the sea, actually it's not done by the Drainage Service Department on the guidance, you know. So people blame the flood after tide or something. Actually they are quite like scapegoat, to be honest. But yeah, but I don't know, you know, it's what happened like that. And then I think government need to really improve that area, because money has been invested a lot compared to the other Asian cities. We are rich, to be honest. Hong Kong is very lucky. We are very rich, and the government spend lots of money on projects, and we have very top engineering enhanced solution. For example, build a tunnel in the mid-mountain to extract the fresh flood water. Is not many cities have that money to do it. Yeah. But we do it. And then I think the really important issue to improve the flood management in Hong Kong is doing the soft issues, not the hard issues. Yeah, for example, governance and those management issues with different institutions. Yeah, this is from my PhD and also from the study after the PhD for long years that I have been observed with not just myself, with the other people concerned about flood in Pelvic Delta and also Asian cities. And actually look at the Guangdong province, not just Hong Kong. Actually in the Guangdong Water Bureau, they actually is quite advanced. They have the system to enhance the flood awareness. So they have the flood awareness model or the website. You can actually click in to understand the rainfall in different regions, and also the typhoon track, and also, you know, the flood situation. So actually Guangdong province has done that free of charge. You can click on the website, it's free of charge, you can access. It's quite useful actually, especially you travel quite frequent on the Pelvic Delta or Guangdong region. It's very helpful for the business people. And has been published that paper as well to talk about this. And after Pelvic Delta moved to another city that I work with in Ningbo. So Ningbo is located in the east coast of China, and close to Shanghai, opposite Shanghai. So Ningbo is actually the town who really close to the sea as well. So we have the issues quite similar to Hong Kong. We have the issues from the coastal water or from the mountain water flood. The town is here, you know, on the floodplain normally. So we have the similar issue. And so we have three major rivers called Fenghua River, Yao River, and Yong River. So Yong River is the river connected to the sea. And this is the Yong River picture. So it's quite large rivers. And so we actually in Ningbo we've done the project to investigate those land use changes, how it affects the river discharge and those flood issues as well. And so we done some GIS work, so with Paulinus here. So actually I don't do GIS, but my colleagues Jim has done GIS, so can link up together if it's interest. So we look at, we have collect different data on land use and collect the water body and different land use area for agricultural or forest areas. So you can see this land cover in 2013 if we put different the layers in GIS map here. And once we put the water body, it's not a joke because in Ningbo it has loads of small rivers, so we call this kind of river networks that the rivers has been really channelized quite seriously for different purposes. Yeah. So so when you can imagine, so in this situation, if the storm surge happens, it's quite hard to avoid overtopping, or at least the salt water issues for evacuation. And we also put residential areas. So we found a lot of residential area is quite close to the main tributaries or the main rivers as well, the main water body. And so this is what we have found. And we just, the slides. Yeah, so we have found this is the city center of Ningbo, we have found, we got some floodgates that to avoid flood water suddenly go really high up to flood the town. But similarly, Ningbo, like Hong Kong, normally the rainfall pattern is not really consistent like the cities, like for example, like London, Paris, or Berlin. This type of cities in Europe is quite consistent all the way, maybe in a month just 20 or 30 millimeters. But in Ningbo, like Hong Kong, or most of the Southeast Asian cities, the rainfall only 80% is from the wet season, from April to October. So you can see we also have high chance to get intensive rainfall and also the storm surge in this typhoon. So in 2013, Ningbo has been threatened by a coastal flood. So after the typhoon called Fichon. So you can see the normally the tide in the typhoon Fichon time was really high compared to the other months. Okay, this is the typhoon period from June to October plus the typhoon time, and normally the tide is high up like at least half meters. And so this flood is because it's generated by actually two storms happen together. One is Fichon, one is Stannis, that is after Fichon. So you can imagine the pressure is very low in the sea. And we got when the typhoon Fichon come, we just look at the city. We got some pictures. And if you take bus, you can still go from A to B, but if you have the sandals, it's okay, but if you have shoes, maybe it got wet. Some people can do that like monkeys to avoid flooding and go to where you go, but I can't do that, I'm too happy. And so in the supermarket it's all empty because it's not enough food to supply on that few days, and also most of the time has been flooded. And lots of cars and has been flooded outside the schools as well. So we do the analysis and for this typhoon, because we got some project money to investigate this typhoon because it's a very serious issue. So we found that actually it floods seriously. Yes, we know the tide level is only high 2 meters up from 2 meters up to 4 meters, and also the intensive rainfall is quite in high magnitude as well. So that's why, like imagine, like Ningbo coastal town, all the pipes or all the stormwater pipes is going to the sea. Right? So if the pipe, like the case in Changwon, has been already got seawater, the rainfall, the rainwater cannot go to anywhere. Yeah. So it's fed to the town, and then we call waterlogging. Yeah, actually. And we do the model again for 10 millimeters rainfall, and then we found a similar issue. So that means we got the triangulate, we got double curve, for different models on the rainfall and also the tide. We understand actually that flood is that serious, not just because of tide, it's because heavy rainfall plus together. So we published that paper as well after that flood as well, just published quite recently, last week. And for the coastal cities that we always face the issues, I know it's already time's up, but I will just be faster. Yeah, and it's a lot of issues like on the flood risk issue. Yeah, because I don't think you can stop the rain. I don't think you can stop the typhoon as well, right? If you do whatever, they will happen. Yeah. So I think after Storm Sandy in the US, in New York, it gave us a lot of rethinking. Of course, last year in America is another few large hurricanes that we test those things. Is it happening on improvement in the coastal cities that after Storm Sandy or even before the hurricane in New Orleans, right? Yeah. But I think that is important to test, not just because how you protect the storm, it's because how we can improve when the flood really comes, in a post-flood emergency plan of this situation, or how to live with those storms. I think this is a very important issue, particularly in Asia, because in Asia, a lot of cities just develop, still thinking about a lot of issues on economy, different things, education, blah, blah, blah. When we really talk about flood situation, it's very difficult, because if you are the politician, you just want to do something, invest a lot of money for the short-term payback or short-term result, that will make you to get more votes or to get more results in short term. Right? For flood, you need to invest a lot of money, but you don't see the effect that fast or rapid. So that's another issues as well, just like we also did, think about a lot of Chinese cities, for example, Ningbo, we published paper, we also talk about this is an issue. And but its situation is not that negative, of course. Like government, they also willing to invest money. So this is the project that Ningbo government want to improve the river quality or river situation. So loads of urban rivers, they got an issue, because in lateral river, you understand, lateral river has loads of sediment from mountain, but sediment erode and deposit again. So it's no much sediment accumulation issue in natural rivers compared to artificial river. Artificial river, the origin rivers is still from mountain or without channelization. So they have a lot of mud and carry a lot of sediment. But because artificial channel is the part that has been channelized or concrete like that. So those from the high up or from the origin rivers that connect with those pot, the artificial pot, the sediment will actually accumulate to the riverbed. So if you don't touch it, that will be from time to time plus the pollutant, so it will cause a lot of sludge issues. So like that, we're lucky to take some picture when the Ningbo government we store the river, so we can see the sludge like that, the situation. So of course, if you spend money, you can kill the sludge by dredging, by cleaning. You can see the workers do the job. So after restore river, you can still understand river quality will be better, but you need to do some work. Yeah. So that means after restoration, you can still doing some floating island. It's quite popular practice now in lots of urban rivers, not just in Ningbo. If you go to Hangzhou or Shanghai, you see lots of these kind of things. And we've done a little research to investigate what type of plants or vegetation that has been putting on the river island as well. And also, we found those vegetation either is quite easy to operate or cheap, yeah, and quite effective on the Asiatic, we call like looking beautiful. Or it depends on people who look at different angle. I'm not artistic, but I see if they put it, but better than not putting it. Yeah. So, but they say this kind of floating island can improve the water quality. I am really doubted because it really depends on how long the water stops there, and the water keep moving. Actually, don't stop there. So I don't think the pond has enough time to absorb the pollutants. But maybe we can do some more research on this before I say it. And so we also published a paper about Ningbo rivers, like just published last year. And actually Ningbo management is quite scientific now, so they will work with different kind of monitoring systems and using technologies. And also they have the smart platform, and also they're doing a lot of flood mapping as well. Although the flood mapping, the maps don't normally release to the public, but they have the flood maps. I've seen it. Yeah. So it's quite. They go for high technology and use data and big data as well. So they also do a lot of work, especially like I say, using the opportunity to using some green operation. For example, when they have the money to do their channelization, they normally will build some parks on the riverside to just let people enjoy as well. That is quite common practice now. And just want to say again, we talk about Hong Kong, Ningbo, and the other parallel Delta cities and cities. So I should put this picture earlier, you know. But this is one thing. If cities that has more natural area can actually enhance more water absorption rates, you know. If you have concrete, then you have an issue that you really rely on the one-off or urban drainage. So then it's really encouraged now a lot of cities we think about when you design a city or when you do urban planning, what do? You know, you still go for 100% urbanized concrete, or you go for, okay, we use only 30% concrete, but we save some trees, we save some soil, we save some green or blue-green area, because they can do evapotranspiration to absorb water, and the water can evaporate it out as well, not just rely on drains. And also they can do actually not just on, because I focus on flood and water, but I know if you plant trees, you also can reduce water temperature, improve climate change adaptation, reduce the heat island effect, or improve the urban climate situation, isn't it? It has lots of benefits other than ecologists here, like birds or biodiversity can also enjoy as well in the town. Right? So that's a lot of issues. And so look at Wuhan, this kind of issues, because it's lots of areas suddenly has been urbanized really fast because of the growth of cities. And we have seen that. So now, like the city in Ningbo, they have promote sponge city. So sponge city is the type of work that promote more green area or use blue-green infrastructure to reduce flood risk. So Ningbo plus the other 29 cities, all 30 cities now has been got the money from Chinese government to start the Smart City program. So Ningbo is one of them. And then got the Smart City program now running in Ningbo. So for example, it started in 2015, and then to 2018 is the first stage of the project. So we are lucky to get one of the project, research project from Ningbo City government. So we understand more through doing the project. And so the next stage is 2018 to 2020. So we are heading to the next stage now. So hopefully we'll improve the city areas to 20% of land use to work on the Smart City infrastructure. So 20% is a huge number, 20% land use, right? Yeah, and for longer term, like 2020 to 2030, want to improve 80% of the land for the Smart City, which is, I think it's very difficult, to be honest, because it's not cheap, yeah, to do Smart City like green infrastructure, particularly New Town area is okay because they have not been built yet. But if you want to reiterate the old town we convert to the Smart site, is very expensive. Yeah. So so this is the target actually. So we got the project in Ningbo East Town is located in here. Okay. So we got the research project to look at. If they do Smart City doing the blue-green infrastructure, how to improve flood protection and also water discharge, water quality of these kind of issues. So this is the area that we got to project, and then we also know the other 5-6 projects located in the circle areas in Ningbo, not just in this area. And so the project we got is located in this kind of area with different land use area. For example, the yellow is residential, green is the green land and those things, and red is the factories and things like that. So we want to understand how to reduce the runoff and then how to make the new natural drainage system works and how to improve ecology as well. And we do modeling on different land, the land port area we call. So we do some modeling by using InfoWorks system. It's quite useful because that system or that model can help us to understand with different soil type and different water discharge by different low impact development infrastructure, we call SPUN infrastructure on that kind of blue-green infrastructure I'll introduce, for example, later. And we do the port study. So firstly, we describe the flow rate and discharge point. And then we also define the surface water catchment because it has a small catchment in the port. Right? So we also define where is the green parks and green corridors in here. Okay. Then we also define road network. And then we also find a peak flow pathway because we need to understand water in that port will go for some direction. If you don't know the direction, it's hard to get where water goes and how to understand and how to protect or how to improve the flood protection. So we need to understand where is the discharge go as well. And so we understand after doing some model, we understand how much density of the population and how much discharge will be happen if in different rainfall. For example, 1 in 10 years rainfall, 1 in 20 to 1 in 100. And so this is what we do. Just find out, if we do that some particular infrastructure will be improved the discharge situation. And then we have some result to compare if you don't do any development, what's the discharge result by different kind of rainstorm return period. And also if you develop without using blue-green infrastructure, what kind of things will be happen? Normally it will be higher, we'll have the high discharge, which is really understandable because all the water goes to the pipe. But if you do the LID cost sponge project or things like that, it will be hopefully will be quite similar to the land has not developed, the natural land. And I say again, doing this type of things is not cheap, yeah, it's expensive. is artificial, right? So if you dig the infiltration pit for 1 meter cube, you need 1,000 RMB. Yeah, so something like that. So the project, part of the project, we need to calculate for the government on that point. If you do different things, what's the cost-benefit analysis? Yeah, and it's not cheaper. So if you can imagine, if the government want to do 80% of land use of these, like who pay the money? Yeah, this is an issue. I think it will be better if the developer pays it. Yeah. But I need to be quiet. Don't say this. The video is taken. Sorry. But I think it's win-win if the developer will pay it, because they develop the land to build a lot of luxury apartments, so they should pay something. And so this is the biosphere is one of the infrastructure quite common, they dig the swell, and then this is the pond, but under the pond they have the soil. Under the soil they have the lead to collect those storm water. Because storm water goes through the pond and the soil, normally it would be purified. So those water can use for irrigation and use for the other recreation purpose. And for example, like Ningbo, the city will be like 35 to 40 degrees Celsius in summer, very dry. So those water to collect is quite useful for irrigation, to save some money. And so this is the plan of the New East Town that we work for. And then we also published a paper talk about will smart city affect or influence the urban planning or urban planning context published just in the land use policy. And not just talk about Ningbo, because people normally like to go to Tokyo to shopping or to eat, right? So in Tokyo, we found a lot of area like the other cities, a lot of urbanized area, but also they still have some forests and grassland. But normally it's quite a lot of urbanized area. So in Tokyo, they also rely on the system like underground. They put the urban water like intensive rainstorm to under pipe. So this is the big pipe underground. So they work on this kind of issue. And for Guangzhou, they also try to actually improve the flood wall. So those kind of area has actually built high up for the river flood to against the river flood in the Pearl River. And they also want to protect the heritage or things like that. So I think they have done some work to look at those river improvements, especially after 2010 Asian Games. And in London, so because Thames River connect to the estuaries and the estuary connect to the sea as well. So in 1953, actually London has been flooded by the storm. Actually, so after that, in 1982, they built the Thames River barriers. So when the high tide comes, they can actually defend the gate by this gate, defend the high tide. But since London now is keep expanding, so this gate is no longer enough. So they are planning to build another big gate in the east side of Thames River that goes to the seaside. Yeah. And this is the Marsland Storm Surge Barrier in Rotterdam. So in the Netherlands, the flood protection level could be higher to 1 to 10,000 years return period. So they spend so much money on the flood defense, so they can actually defend all the sea water, like climate change, sea level rise, no problem, because these kind of things they can defend up to 1 in 10,000 years coastal flood. And of course it's very expensive. It's not many countries or cities can afford. But one of the reasons is they are living under the sea level 6 meters, so that's why they need to protect the level really high. And plus they also have done lots of rain garden. So this is the parcel, which is the design picture. But this is the real picture when I go to visit in Rotterdam. In the dry days it's like that, but in the rain time they can absorb water, or the water just stuck there. You know, it's the part. If it's flood, it's okay. You know, nobody pay in the rain time, so it's okay. And Rotterdam people still think maybe it's not enough, so they are researching can live in a boat. So it's called floating pavilions. So they want to actually live inside the boat. If it's big sea flood or flooding comes, those boats can actually float like a boat. Yeah. So they are developing or still researching those opportunities or possibilities. So now, last year I just been in Rotterdam to visit them. The researcher just saying they are developing how to do the agriculture, like to plant food themselves in the boat, and also sort out the sanitation, like toilet waste or things like that. Yeah. So it's quite like quite like lower art and things like that. But is something that we can consider as well. Why not? You know, it's just floating the idea. And after that, also work with these kind of people and publish paper, look at Guangzhou, Rotterdam, and Hong Kong stuff. So just summary for the talk. You know, so we live in the coastal cities. We have risks from several things. Okay, first is the development. Okay, development keep coming. Okay, we can't stop. It's very understandable because coastal cities attract a lot of attention on finance and culture, employment and issues. But unfortunately, some coastal cities, for example, in particular, some cities extract a lot of groundwaters and issues like Jakarta, Bangkok, Tianjin. They will cause the land subsidence. The land will subside if they just drop the water table high up because the excessive extraction of the groundwater. And because of that, that relates to the sea level rise. If the land subsides and sea level comes up, it's easy for coastal water overflood or cause issues. Plus, normally, if we develop area like that, it will actually chop the trees, deforestation. You chop more trees, then you don't have helper to help you to absorb water, yeah, something like that, or change the grassland to concrete. And that's why it also has an issue if you keep chopping trees or reclaim wetland or things like that. You lose friends, and then soil erosion and waves will occur in the seaside. So normally we live in city, we don't care this kind of issue, but it happens. Yeah, and then it also has the other issue. For example, intensive rainfall, and then coastal erosion and pollution and these kind of issues that is all related. So this is something we need to think about. Yeah. So just the last picture, this is my colleagues in the department. So I just want to say thank you for this invitation, and if you have any questions, you can ask. Thank you.
Right, thank you very much. So it was so exciting to know like there's so many strategies or management going on that protect us from the flooding. So anyone has any questions or any concerns about the topic just now? So any questions that we want to ask Dr. Chen right now, or you're too shy to actually raise any questions right now?
Too many pictures and keep them quite short. Yeah. See, also first story.
Right. So
I've commented question. So thanks for the talk. I think one thing that was very interesting about your talk, me not being, thinking about this city planning stuff, is that first is, it's not just about developing, right? You have to think about city planning is very complicated.
Yeah.
And that, seeing this makes me think about that even more. Didn't realize there's so much going on underneath us, and it's not just about turning these places into we not just that we need houses, but we need to find good ways to build these houses. But one thing the question I had was around Hong Kong. I've noticed, for example, you talk about the rivers are starting to change how they're managing these rivers. Again, make them, instead of channelizing them, making more natural, as well as some of these slopes. They're also doing that, and you showed a lot of that. Do you think this is a real? It seems like it's a big kind of mental change of people managing that they want to start changing to more natural. Do you see that this is something this change is real and going to continue?
I think so. According to some inside people from Drainage Service Department, and also I think is for green development. I think it really has, at least they concern about this. They put money, they put investment there. Yeah, I can see some projects. They like even some people like NGOs, companies like for Hong Kong and Shenzhen, they want to do better. Yeah. But if you look at the other powerful delta cities, it's still time to encourage the other governments and things like that. But the trend is better than 90s or 2000s when I started to look at these kind of issues. I can say the level maybe is not really compared to European Water Framework Directive and also in UK with a restoration standard. But I think gradually, from time to time, they start to look at it. Hopefully, will be a good, as you say, will be a good trend.
Right. So, any more questions? Okay. Actually, I'm just curious for so I'll just chip in one last question in here. So, just now you were actually saying that there's a lot of issues in Shenyang and perhaps in Ningbo as well about the water clogging. So, are there any solutions to it? So, well, the seawater will definitely keeps coming in to the pipe systems anyway. So, are there any practical solutions?
Yeah, I think for Shenyang at the moment, the pump works well, especially just make sure that electricity or energy don't stop the pump. Sometimes energy is an issue, but the pump works well. After 2008, it doesn't do again. So at the moment, I think the pump works quite well for Shenyang. But I think in Hong Kong, there's most of the urban land use area that is not just located in Shenyang. So, for example, like I said, in Hengfa Estate or in Taiwan last year has been, caused the coastal problem. So I think one thing is hard is if you have been built infrastructure close to the seaside, you have to just waste the water. Yeah, I think that is something which cannot avoid. Otherwise, you really need to think about how to collect those seawater once it overtop. It's okay. Maybe you build some tank or something, but it's very difficult because seawater, the volume is far harder to monitor or modeling compared to river water. Yeah. So. But I think the other issue, like I said, I think we need to develop really sophisticated post-flood management or post-flood coastal system. For example, I think New York City is done quite good. Yeah, they decide to close down less than or the stock market 3 days when the storm Sandy comes, and then that saves a lot of people's lives. So I think those things we need to establish better because we are very difficult to stop coastal flood for the storm surge. For example, especially those infrastructure or those systems has been located on the area already. So we need to find good emergency plan and also the post-flood arrangement to reduce the risks and casualties.
Right. So thank you very much. So any last questions in here? Okay, so the time is almost up, so thank you very much. So let's give another round of applause to the Chan. So if you have any questions, you can come